Hi guys, thanks for watching Beyond Science 2. I'm your host Jasmina. To many of us, the theatrical experience of a movie is something that is worth paying for. Besides, the people behind the production would not mind some appreciation tossed their way by means of seeing their work. And the experience of going to a theater can sometimes be extraordinary. Normally, we would just stand in line for a ticket, buy something from the concession stand, and get on with watching our film. However, despite the mundane facade, movie theaters have a few secrets up their sleeves that are known to very few or none at all. So in today's video, we are sharing a few of those secrets that movie theaters keep quiet and hope that you guys find it useful the next time you go out to see the next blockbuster. On number 10, we have movie theaters don't make money from ticket sales. You would think that blockbuster movies would rake in massive cash flow to movie theaters. However, that is not the case. At least for the first month or two of a movie's release, the money goes directly to the producers. In order to keep the place running, theaters usually get their profits through ad placements before previews and through their concession stands, because popcorn costs less than nothing to make and candy bars are slightly more expensive than when they are sold in stores. Theaters only earn a profit from films months after their release date, which explains why many theaters show movies that are 3 or 4 months old. Number 9, stay away from combination deals at the concession stand. We all love spending our money's worth, but if you decide to spend it on a snack combo at the concession stand, chances are you are paying more than you think. In some theaters, you would actually spend the same amount of money if you purchased your items separately. Next, we have theaters are not as clean as you may think. Though there may be a gap of a few minutes or more between screenings, theater employees confess to the fact that they don't really have that much time to do a thorough cleaning of the premises before the next screening starts. What's even worse is that when several movies end at the same time, custodians end up scrambling to clean up whatever mess moviegoers may have left behind because they forgot about the trash bins near the theater doors. Number 7, we have the list. Unknown to many theater goers, movie theaters have their own versions of the blacklist where they would have the identities of people who have been banned from returning. Getting on a movie theater's blacklist is not as difficult as you think. Generally, a person gets on the theater's bad side when they attempt to scam employees, exhibit inappropriate behavior, and movie piracy, something that may not just land you in a movie theater's blacklist, but also in court. Next, we have the show start late but end exactly on time. If you watched a movie in a theater, you may have noticed that the film doesn't exactly start on time as advertised. The reason isn't because they forgot to start it on time, but it's because this allows moviegoers to see the previews as well as advertisements. Also, it gives latecomers enough time to arrive before the movie actually starts. However, no matter the window of time given at the beginning, most movies always end up on time to give custodians the chance to tidy up the theater for the next screening. Number 5, double feature. At one point, we all did it. We snuck into another theater to watch a second movie without having to pay for it. Theater employees as well as their managers are very much aware of this practice done by patrons, and they generally allow it as long as the moviegoers keep a low profile and select a show that is not sold out. And number 4, complaining about a movie to an employee usually ends up nowhere. Sometimes we get disappointed with the movie because we got too caught up in the general hype, and complaining about it to the theater employees won't take you anywhere. They aren't connected whatsoever to the producers or the directors, so they can't do anything. If a movie ends up being offensive to an individual's taste or is just downright disappointing, theater managers will usually allow patrons to swap their tickets for a different movie as long as they only spent less than 30 minutes seeing the film, and of course they ask nicely. Number 3, death by digital. As more and more movies these days are shot and rendered digitally, movie theaters have to adapt to the times and replace their old dusty film projectors. The projectors alone can cost a lot of money, and even more money to replace them with the new projectors. Despite the fact that the recent decade has made filming much cheaper, it has, however, driven smaller theaters out of business because they simply could not afford to replace their equipment to accommodate the digitally shot movies. Number 2, theater employees get to see the movies before they are released to the public. It's one of the best perks for working in a movie theater. Employees get to enjoy an exclusive screening of whatever movie is slated for release and maybe brag about it to their friends. The purpose of this is not to allow them to flood the internet with spoilers, but instead it's to make sure that the entire staff is knowledgeable about the theater screening movies for the next few months should an overzealous zealous patron begin to ask if the ticket he or she is paying for is actually worth the time and money. And finally, we have the popcorn lure. Ever wonder why movie theaters always smell distinctively of buttery popcorn? Well, for one, it's because they sell them at the concession stands, but one secret that theater employees have confessed to is that in order to intensify the smell of butter and popping kernels, they have used different methods to lure moviegoers to buy tubs of the treat. One of the methods is using a mixture of coconut and canola oil. Some theaters have even used a special combination that creates the mouth-watering scent. In other theaters, they have even gone so far as to having special vents in their popcorn machines to release the scent and allow it to flood to both the theater lobby and our human senses. I do like going to the movies, but I don't exactly like the smell of popcorn, so that last trick probably won't work on me. But the idea to go to the movies with friends and sneak in some snacks has always been a kind of childhood nostalgia for me. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!